Now what will it be? Death or exile?
30 years after the release of the original Coming to America, we get the sequel, Coming to America, starring much of the same cast from the original film: Eddie Murphy, along with Arsenio Hall, and new like Leslie Jones joins the squad, as well as Tracy Morgan. Um, the cast is all really good, to be honest, including the three wonderful actresses that play Eddie's children in this movie. There's some great, interesting bits of um, of humor that's been brought back from that time to kind of joke about. For example, McDowell and all of the jokes about how it's a ripoff to McDonald's and so on and so forth. So seeing all that stuff is great. Being back in Zamunda. Uh, and just spending more time in that place does make for a very different film than the one that was released all those years ago. But much like the setting has changed, the humor that we expect in today's much more politically correct society is not up to snuff as the first one. The original's humor was very biting, and yet in this one, we find ourselves in a situation where you can tell that the writers and performers are going out of their way to not offend anyone and to try to stick to political correct standards, which is understandable, but it does take away from certain bits of the movie that could have needed that edge. With that said, there are some interesting tie-ins with the role of women in a traditional setting like Africa. But I think that there are some interesting character arcs, mostly the one from Eddie Murphy, of him being a prince for so long and coming to that role of king, kind of forgetting his own passions from the original movie and forgetting what led him to the decisions that he's made, and holding very different standards for his son than he did for himself, and him having to deal with that. And also, we get some great bits from his son trying to learn about his about Zamunda. And trying to fit into this new culture and this new world, and trying to live up to these new expectations. Um, I think one of the best parts of the movie is the costume design. There are some incredible outfits, incredible African garb being worn by every single member of the cast. I think it really does a good job of highlighting the variety, diversity, the colors that we find a lot in Africa. I think that the costume design did a great job. I do think the performance was good. I think that there's some really interesting surprises that pop up throughout the movie. Some of them are really funny. There's some great callbacks to the 1988 movie. And again, it kind of just made me want to watch that movie more than watching this sequel. I can't say that it's a bad movie. I don't believe it to be. I think that it's a comedy made for its time, and I think that watching that in dichotomy to the one that to its predecessor, which was also a comedy of its time, kind of show goes a long way into showing how far we've come as a society between then and now. And again, it's really interesting to say considering some of the themes in this movie and the growth of Zamunda that is coming around the corner with the way this movie ends. I think my favorite part, aside from the great costumes, was Wesley Snipes, who plays a supposedly African general, but him and his crew have this incredibly distinctive style that really stood out to me throughout the entire movie, and I couldn't wait to see him again and again. So I think Coming to America is an okay movie. I'm not saying you should. I think people should watch it and give it a chance. But again, I just wish that it lived up to the standards of its predecessor and that it took more risks in its humor and in its stories and in its storytelling. All right, thank you. Follow the accounts and stay exiled.